Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Lancaster County Planning Commission of May 8th, 2024. A printed agenda is available outside the hearing room, and a copy of the full agenda, including the staff reports, is available online or at the Planning Department, room 213. The Open Meetings Act is posted just inside the doors at the back of the room. If you parked in the parking lot across the street to the north, the gate is open and no parking coupons are needed. Out of courtesy for those attending this meeting, commissioners and the staff, cell phones may not be used in the chamber during any portion of this meeting. We appreciate your cooperation. Please note the Planning Commission action today is final on the following items. 1.4 County Special Permit 141 COA and 1.5 County Special Permit 24015. Any aggrieved person may appeal final action of the Planning Commission to the City Council or the County Board by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk within 14 days following the action of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission action on all of today's items is a recommendation to the City Council or County Board. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held April 24th, 2024.
So moved, Campbell.
Second, Joy.
Ball?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Cruz?
Abstain.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Abstain.
Fight?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Minutes approved.
We will now proceed with today's agenda. The next item of business is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be called at the same time and not scheduled for a separate public hearing unless there is a request from someone wishing to speak or at the request of a commission member. I will ask Shelley to read all of the consent agenda items into the record. Once those items are read, she will ask if there is anyone wishing to speak. If you wish to speak on an item on the consent agenda, we would ask that you stand and state that item. That item will then be removed from the consent agenda and scheduled as a separate public hearing under Section 3 of today's agenda. All items remaining on the consent agenda will be voted upon in total with a motion for approval. Shelley, will you please call the items on the consent agenda?
Yes, item 1.1, Comprehensive Plan Conformance 24009, to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan to provide a conservation easement over the Phase 1 flood storage area within the West View Plan Unit Development over a portion of Outlot D on property generally located at West A and Southwest 36th Street. Item 1.2, Annexation 24004, to annex approximately 32.41 acres on property generally located at 8601 Highway 6. Item 1.3, change of zone 24011 from H1 Interstate Commercial Highway to H3 Highway Commercial District on property generally located at North 27th Street and Wildcat Drive. Item 1.4, County Special Permit 141C0A to add an 11-foot extension on the existing tower for a maximum height of 210 feet on property generally located at 9201 West Agnew Road. This is final action. Item 1.5, County Special Permit 24015 to allow for an ADU accessory dwelling unit with waivers on property generally located at 4770 Agnew Road. This also is final action. Item 1.6, miscellaneous 24003 for an amendment to the 2050 long-range transportation plan to update the cost and extents for the West Beltway US 77 from I-80 to Saltillo Road project in the Nebraska Department of Transportation Highways Program fiscally constrained plan. Update the costs for the North 33rd Street project in the fiscally constrained Railroad Transportation Safety District projects table, and update the cost for the multi-module transportation center in the property transit projects table. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these items?
No.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information learned while visiting these sites to be disclosed?
No.
If there is anyone wishing to speak on these consent agenda item, please stand and state that item.
Are we up to 1.4 yet?
Yeah, so you just stand and say you don't come forward yet, but you would like to speak on 1.4?
Right, that's what the tower, right, at Agnew Road?
Yes, sir.
We will call that up for public hearing.
So we will remove that from the consent agenda and put it on a public hearing. Yep.
And I'd like to speak on that tower.
That we will call that when we get to
Public hearing.
that place on the agenda. It'll be agenda item number 3, items removed from the consent agenda. Thank you. Okay.
I would move that we approve the consent agenda. Campbell?
Second, Joy.
Ball,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Consent agenda approved, 9-0.
I will now ask Shelley to call the request for deferral.
I will note that we have received written notification from the applicant requesting a 2-week deferral to the May 22nd, 24 Planning Commission hearing for continued public hearing action item 5.2, which is special permit 24005, which is to allow for soil mining excavation on property generally located at the northwest corner of North 70th Street and Arbor Road.
I would move that we defer special permit 24005
Second, Joy. Oh, so sorry. Keep
till
going.
the next meeting.
Okay? Ball?
We got the second already? Yes.
Okay. Campbell?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Veit?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 9-0.
Is there anyone here today that wishes to speak on the deferred application today versus waiting until the 22nd? Okay. We will now proceed to public hearings. Prior to staff making a brief presentation, each staff person should state their name, agency, and address. The applicant will then be requested to present his or her testimony, followed by those who wish to testify in support, followed by those who wish to testify in opposition. The staff will then be given an opportunity to respond to the testimony, and then the applicant shall have an opportunity for rebuttal. If during your testimony you have copies of documents or materials you would like distributed to the Planning Commission or included as a part of the record, please provide them to the clerk. Each person testifying should state their name and address and shall have 5 minutes to speak unless additional time is requested and granted. The clerk will use the light system to help aid your timing for your testimony. The lights will appear on the monitors provided. The clerk will indicate when you have 1 minute remaining to wrap up your testimony. The red light indicates that your 5 minutes have expired. Once the final minute has elapsed, the clerk will indicate that your time is up. The Planning Commission will vote immediately at the close of the public hearing unless the Commission votes to defer action or to continue the public hearing. Shelley, please call the first public hearing item.
The first item is going to be item 1.4, which was removed from the consent agenda for special permit 141C0A, which is to add an 11-foot extension onto the existing tower for a maximum height of 210 feet on property generally located at 9201 West Agnew Road. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this application?
No.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting any of the site to be disclosed?
No.
Good afternoon, Brian Will, Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. This is a request for an amendment to an existing special permit that was approved back in 1996. So we're clear up in the northwest part of the county. There's 9201 West Agnew Road. The larger tract that this facility is located on is highlighted here by the dashed line. The facility is located up here at the north end of the property. And then within that lease area, you can see the tower here, a few hundred feet off of West Agnew Road. So this request here today is for an extension to this existing tower, which was originally approved for a maximum height of up to 199 feet. This request is for an 11-foot extension to take it to 210 feet, which would allow for co-location of an additional carrier. So this sort of co-location is encouraged by county zoning regulations. Again, we've talked about it before. The intent is to limit the proliferation of towers throughout the county, and co-location is encouraged, limiting the need for new towers. So with this application, the planning department is recommending approval, subject to a couple minor conditions. They need to modify their site plan and show some setbacks, which I'm confident that it meets. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
We recently approved a new tower, maybe a month ago. How tall was that one? Do you remember?
That one is over 200 feet, if I recall.
That's what I
239, I think.
That's what I thought.
I wanna
Okay,
say.
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Okay.
At this time, is the applicant here? Yes. Testimony from the applicant, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ariel Stouter. I am a representative of Fullerton, and we submitted the application on behalf of the tower owner ATC and AT&T, whose equipment is being proposed on this. I don't have anything different than what Brian just told you. AT&T would be new to the tower, and as he stated, it is preferable to go ahead and extend the tower to accommodate AT&T than it is to go ahead and build a new tower. So the reason they couldn't go lower is because there wasn't really any room lower, and generally the higher up and the more length gives like the greater distance for AT&T signal and coverage to reach. And so I'm here to answer any questions from you or the public. Go ahead.
Do you know how much more coverage it gives you going the extra height?
Without seeing what the total coverage in the area, but it is definitely to fill a gap that is currently existing. And that would be to support the overall network.
Any additional questions at this time? Okay, there may be some later after.
Absolutely.
All right. At this time, we will hear testimony in support of this application. Anyone here wishing to testify in a neutral capacity? And then testimony in opposition.
My name is Donald D. Olson. I own this property, lot 29, 1525E.
Can you state your address, please?
My address is 318 County Road 29, Valparaiso, Nebraska, 68065. Anything else?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Well, they never mentioned anything about doing my road ditch. They tore that up. I have no reason why, if they extended the tower, so how much more traffic is coming into that tower so that they had to lay more fiber optic? Anybody here know? And what gives them the right to do this without giving us some kind of information first? They said they already did it. Is that correct?
No. Brian, right? The work hasn't been, the tower hasn't been extended. Right.
Yes or no?
I don't believe that it
Yes or no?
No.
That's what we're here for today.
What's the answer? Believe don't mean nothing. Yes or no?
Sir,
please continue with your testimony.
Yeah, can you go ahead and finish your testimony, and we can ask questions of staff and the applicant when we get to that part of the agenda. We'll
Okay.
follow up.
So if the tower was extended, why did they lay more fiber optic? Did they lease out more to different communication outfits to go into my territory without even asking and getting permission?
Sir,
Is it possible that we're talking about two different kinds of fiber? I understand that fiber optic that goes underground is for internet, whereas the cable that we would be talking about is for cellular phone usage.
Well, why would they bring cable down from the tower and run in my road ditch?
We can ask the applicant
that.
when we
ask.
get to that part of the agenda.
And why do they need more tower up there? What is it for?
Well, what the applicant had said was that it's a new carrier than the one that is already there, and it would extend and expand the coverage area.
And I checked my property for easements. There's no easements on my property. I went over here to the city-county building, right across the hall. There's no easements. So who gives them the right-of-way to this?
We'll ask that
That's something
question.
we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll ask that.
So why did they decide to put the whole section into this area?
Here, hold on just a second.
Good afternoon, John Ward with the Lancaster County Attorney's Office. Just to address the public comment from you, sir, it seems to be that you're directing a lot of questions towards the Planning Commission, but this is an opportunity for public comment. Typically, the Planning Commission can refer the questions that they like back to the Planning Department staff, so it's not really a direct dialogue between you and the Commission. This is just a chance for you to say your piece regarding the special permit to extend the cell tower.
That's what I'm doing.
I know, but you're asking questions and then waiting for answers. If you would instead just say your concerns, then they could bring that up with the Planning Department staff.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And so, the next question is, they said they got different providers for it. That's another question I want answered. So what else do you want me to ask? Anything else? Is that enough?
Appreciate your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
Yep, you can use that one.
Either one works.
My name's Anthony Commenda, and address is 20900 Northwest 98th Street, Valparaiso, Nebraska 68065. And I'm about the closest neighbor to this tower. I might be within, I don't know, I never did measure it, but I'm one of the closest neighbors. And how long has this tower been here already?
Again, what,
Does
just as the
anybody
attorney
know
said,
how
is
many
it,
years it's been there?
we can ask when we ask questions of staff.
All right,
So
well,
we
I
will
was-
ask.
If you look back at that, I should be on your ledger or whatever as protesting this tower when the first time it was set to take off. And there was people working there 2 to 4 months ago, and they had all kinds of equipment out there and a big boom, and they already extended it. I don't know how long those extensions were, but they put on 2 or 3 extensions 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. You know how time goes by. But I walk out my front door, and that's the first damn thing I see is that tower on the hill. And anyway, but they were there for 2 or 3 weeks, like, putting more extensions on it, and had a 200 and some foot boom there and stuff. And so I was just wondering why they're doing this again. That they're going to have to do that again, and is that right?
We will ask about the process and timeline for you. Yep.
Okay, and at that time, the first time when I protested this, they guaranteed me there would never be any lights on the tower. And I don't know how long ago it was they put lights on it. And then this last time they were back, a couple months ago, they put red blinking lights all over the thing. I mean, it almost looks like a Christmas tree you walk outside the house. And they absolutely guaranteed me. I asked specifically And they told me there will never be any lights on this tower. And now it's lit up. And now they're not, that's before they're gonna put this extra extension on it. So that'll probably be more lights, more stuff. Every time they come there, they add more stuff to it. I mean, there's a conglomeration of stuff up there. And another concern I have is what kind of, is it putting off any radiation, any emissions of energy of any kind, certain types of waves of energy? I mean, what is this thing putting off? Does anybody know? It's got to be radiating something, and if they're going to be adding more stuff to it, it's going to be radiating more stuff. Anyway, all right, then, this last time when they were working on the tower, I have 2 dishes out at my place. And this last time they were working on the tower, I'm only 20 miles from Lincoln, and now I can hardly get channel 10. I mean, there's something wrong there. And sometimes I love watching channel 12, nature programs and stuff like that. And sometimes no signal. And I never had trouble before. So I was wondering what in the world is going on there. And like I said, I have 2 dishes, and I do have like I said, 2 satellites, but it's getting worse and worse, and now it's going to get worse and worse yet, I think, if they add more stuff to it. And but I'm retired now, and I'm a disabled veteran, and I do watch probably a little bit too much TV, and now I'm really limited because I'm losing all my good stations. So I guess, my last comment is this letter I got from you people, you almost need to be an attorney to understand a lot of it. It's not, so okay, that's about it for me.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for your service.
All right, staff questions. Well, let's start with the questions we got from the testimony. Do you know when that first tower was installed?
Mm-hmm. The tower, the original special permit was approved in 1996.
96.
And so I think the tower probably went up shortly thereafter, is my guess. Yeah.
Respond to the issue of lights. I mean, I know most towers.
Lighting is a federal requirement.
Yeah.
Once you cross the 200-foot threshold, you're required to light it. The original special permit had no limitation or prohibition of lighting, which, I mean, that'd be contrary anyway. We couldn't do that should it exceed 200 feet, so.
I want to clarify, it was 199, specifically under 200 feet, and now we're going to 210.
Yes.
So at 199, it did not need lights?
It would not have been federally required to be lighted. They could light it, I suppose.
Now it will need lights. So
now it will be.
If it's 199, it doesn't need lights. In our special permit process, we don't prohibit the lights.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Rich.
Go ahead, Rich. Go ahead. No, well, I was going to say, I was just trying to go through what had come up during public comment. There's some issue around work already being done, and I think that's probably a question for the applicant.
The applicant can address it. I mean, being out there on site, it looks like they probably got the horse, or the cart in front of the horse, rather. It looks like the extension's been installed. There's no antennas up there, but it looks like they have placed an antenna. Relative to I'm not sure I quite followed the whole discussion about on somebody else's property, but as far as trenching in the ditch, that's in the public right-of-way. Okay, and so with, I suppose, the county engineer's blessing, you can do that. I'm not aware of them getting on someone else's property, but somebody else could speak to that. But you would be allowed to lay fiber or other utilities in the right-of-way. And by the way, so these facilities, the way and the applicant can, probably in better technical terms than me, but these things are all connected by a network like that. The antenna, all it does is allows you to communicate, and then it's through a wired system that connects all these antennas. So that's what that part of it is about, I believe, so.
Okay.
I have a
Thank
question
you.
with
Yes,
relation to
go ahead.
that.
Yep.
So does the city or county review maintenance plans on any of the cell towers? Is that submitted prior to maintenance?
Yeah, there's a maintenance plan with the original special permit, correct? Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Additional questions to that. So based on the new network provider, is the planning department aware of any requests for additional maintenance for wiring for the antenna?
No, I'm not aware of any, no.
Okay,
Just to
Rich?
be clear, the right-of-way that the gentleman, Donald, was referring to goes beyond just the roadway. It includes...
Correct. The ditches and even a little bit beyond that. That would all be within the right-of-way for the Agnew Road, correct?
Okay. Additional questions for staff at this time?
I
Yes.
don't know if it's a staff or applicant question. Do you know in 96 and 97 when the first request was made, was it at that max height of 199?
Was it built to 199?
Yeah.
I don't think it was. It was authorized, the original special permit authorized to go to 199. I don't think it was built to that maximum height at that time.
But within that permit, if it wasn't, it would be allowable?
It'd be allowable. It'd be allowable to go up to 199 without any additional approval, right?
All right. Thank you. Oh, yep.
From the health department here, or more questions?
I have one more question, but I don't know if, when, because I had the similar issue because I live west or north of town. When did the TV system go to digital?
Oh, I don't.
Do you remember?
I don't.
Because we had that same problem where we couldn't, our local antenna would not work anymore. We had to go to digital antenna.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when that was.
Feels like it was like 2019
It's been several years ago.
maybe?
There was a switch.
Yeah.
On that same string, do we have an expert that can explain if phone signals disrupt TV signals?
What I can tell you is the frequencies that these facilities operate on are authorized, licensed, and approved by the FCC. And they're granted to the various carriers. And to my knowledge, there is no interference of that type that I'm aware of. This question of radiation or some other emissions from these facilities, I think a couple meetings ago, the health department spoke to that, and they noted that there are no credible, authoritative studies that have concluded that there is any effect. Beyond that, the FCC, federal regulations prohibit local governments from considering that sort of criteria in our review process. We're not allowed to. And I think primarily because there is no documented evidence that there is any effect. So.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
All right. Testimony or applicant rebuttal. If you would come forward, please. I think we have some questions.
I think the only thing, the whatever fiber optic.
Can you
Yep.
maybe lean forward to the mic just so that people
Yeah.
can hear? Thank you.
Sorry about that. This better?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Speaking to the gentleman's property, we're not doing fiber optics. We're not running any fiber. I'm not sure whose project that was, but that wasn't AT&T's work. So, but I am very happy to take that back to ATC because I believe they would care very much about damaging their reputation with their neighbors. I think Brian did a really good job of any other rebuttals that I would have had brought up, especially about the emissions and the lighting. That's an FAA regulation, the lighting, to make sure there's no accidents and collisions with the tower.
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt. I was waiting for her to be
go right
done
ahead.
so I could get to questions. I didn't want to get out of order. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The lighting,
Yes.
because it was under 199, it didn't need lighting. So do you
At that
know
time.
how long ago lighting was put on there? And is it because of the anticipated increase in height that hadn't been?
I would
approved
assume
yet?
if that's what would, yes, it was for probably in anticipation, but prior to this particular project, I have no knowledge of this tower. Sorry. But yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
currently, the project that you're talking about with us today has not been done.
As far as I know, the antennas definitely are not installed. If they did put the cart before the horse and installed the extension, then I'm here to make amends and make sure this, gets approved prior what Brian has, approached you with the appropriate conditions. So,
Okay, thank you. Are there additional questions for the applicant? Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
thank you.
And sir, I'm sorry, but the time for testimony from the public ended. Everybody has a chance to speak. You had a chance to speak and raise your questions. And then we've now tried to get those answered and had applicant rebuttal. So thank you.
So it's all done.
We have not voted. There will be discussion, but the time for testimony, yes, has ended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I might add that although this is final action, if you want to appeal, sir, if you want to appeal this to the Lancaster Board, you will have the opportunity, and then you can testify again and ask questions.
Why do we have to go through Lancaster County Board when you guys are all the same?
We make
Yeah,
recommendations.
okay, yeah, let's.
Yeah.
David
this
can
is-
answer that.
Yep,
You can
This
you can
is-
speak to that.
yeah, they can go and meet, that's, yeah, thank you. All right,
The second, Joy.
Ball,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
yes.
Public hearing closed.
And I would move to approve county special permit 141C0A.
Second, Joy.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah, my reason behind this is the tower's been there since 1996. Having an 11-foot clear separation between equipment, so their signals don't overlap and such, makes common sense. And the 11 feet is not going to create any additional problems to that area. So I will be voting for it.
In addition.
Oh, so sorry.
Go ahead.
In addition, the fact that we're trying to maximize the usage of existing towers and not have to build new towers speaks to it's just common sense, again.
Gloria?
I will be supporting this, but I do take issue with going from 199 to 2 just because of the lighting restrictions on there. And that is when you're living right next to it. Lights versus not lights is a big deal. And we don't have the transcripts from 96 on whether he was told this is never going to have lights on it, and that's why they stopped at 199. And that bothers me when we come before this group and stuff that was done 20 years ago and we don't know the why behind it and we change it. So I always want to keep that in the forefront of we should get a little better historical on the why did it stop at 199, because that's not just a shot in the dark number. But I will be supporting it because I see the benefits of, and the light's already on it.
All right. Yes.
I will be supporting it. I know that there is an FFA flight pattern that's now out in our area north of Lincoln. So if this does move to the county, that would be something that I would ask them to look into, to double check on that, if that's why the lights were put on previously. And also, we did set some precedents a couple weeks ago when we did approve the taller towers. And I, again, agree with my fellow commissioners that it's nice to use existing versus creating new footprints. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I will also be in favor of this, but I'd like to go on record that I don't like the process of asking for forgiveness instead of permission. It seems as though they've already added the 11 feet. They have not put the transmitting equipment up there yet, but they got the cart before the horse in this case. And although I will be voting for this, I just think that in the future these people need to take the proper channels.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. We can move to the vote. Shelley?
Ball,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 9-0. We'll now move to item 4.1, miscellaneous 24002, for review of the draft fiscal year 2025 to fiscal year 2028 Transportation Improvement Program for conformance with the current Lincoln Metropolitan Planning Organization Long-Range Transportation Plan. Are there any expert communications to be disclosed on this application?
No.
Are there any expert communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting this site to be disclosed?
No.
Rachel Christopher with the Planning Department in Lincoln Metropolitan Planning Organization. The item before you is for the annual proposed Transportation Improvement Program, or TAP, for the Lincoln Metropolitan Planning Organization. The TIP is a document that identifies transportation projects coming up in the next 4-year period that will use federal funds or are regionally significant. And the task of Planning Commission is to review the TAP for conformance with our 2050 long-range transportation plan, because all projects that are listed in the TAP must conform with our long-range plan. And so again, this is a listing of transportation projects. And we presented to you all a detailed overview of the TAP back on April 24th. We adopt a new TAP each year, and so projects can be added to it, taken out, revised, however needed with each annual adoption. So the proposed TAP before you is for the federal fiscal years 2025 through 2028. And the way our TAP is structured includes a number of different programs within it. We have one for Nebraska DOT for highway and interstate projects. Lancaster County Engineering has a program for their road and bridge projects. LTU Transportation, again for road and bridge projects primarily. LTU StarTran for bus operating and capital projects. Lincoln Airport Authority, we have one for Federal Transit Administration for regional transit operations. Pedestrian, bike, and trails projects as well. Railroad Transportation Safety District, and then we have a program for transportation planning projects. And just briefly, the types of transportation projects in the TAP kind of run the gamut, everything from capital improvements to maintenance to safety and operations projects. All of those appear in there. And so with this year's proposed TAP, we have several new projects being added. We have a number of projects for NDOT for different highway and interstate projects throughout Lancaster County. We also have a new project for LTU transportation for replacement of a bridge on South 27th Street at Southeast Upper Salt Creek. That's between Rokeby Road and Saltillo Road. So that's a new project. It conforms with the LRTP as it is in the fiscally constrained list already for LTU. And that project will be using Surface Transportation Block Grant funds. And then our other new project is for City of Hickman. They were awarded Recreational Trails Program funds through Nebraska Game and Parks Commission to construct a trail segment near South 68th Street and Hickman Road. And that project was found in general conformance with the LRTP. It fits with many of the goals in the LRTP, and we also have discussion in our long-range plan speaking to not just the benefits of trail projects in general, but also to trails in those smaller communities that contribute to the regional trail system as a whole. And then most projects in general are carried forward year to year from the current TAP. And so all projects with this proposal are found to be in conformance with the long-range transportation plan. We had an MPO technical committee meeting on April 10th where this proposal was reviewed, and they recommended approval of that. It then goes before you all, and then final action would be at the MPO officials committee in May. And thus far, we have not received any comments on the proposed TAP from the public. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Questions for Rachel? Thank you again for all of the information and the time that went into preparing the document. I appreciated the detail. All right.
Thank you.
At this time, we will have any testimony in support, neutral position, or any testimony in opposition.
Seeing none, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second, Joy.
Ball,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
And I would move that we find in compliance the draft 2025 through 2028 Transportation Improvement Plan.
Second, Joy.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I thought, especially from the briefing we had a couple weeks ago, that this has been a well-thought-out plan. They're adding to things that are already in process and expanding them, and trails and such that will enhance the community and Lancaster County. I will be in total support of this update.
Additional discussion? All right, Shelley.
Ball,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 9-0. Okay, we will move now to continue public hearing and administrative action. Item 5.1A, Annexation 24003, to annex approximately 29 acres, more or less, on property generally located northwest of O Street and north 112th Street. Item 5.1B, change of zone 24010, approximately 31 acres from AG Agricultural District and R3 Residential District to H4 Highway Commercial District Also on property generally located northwest of O Street and north 112th Street, and associated item 5.1C, special permit 24012, to establish a planned service commercial permit on approximately 41 acres to allow up to 418,000 square feet of commercial uses, also on property generally located northwest of O Street and north 112th Street. Are there any expert communications to be disclosed on these applications?
No.
Are there any expert communications that took place or additional information to learn while visiting any of these sites to be disclosed?
No. You're up.
Good afternoon, Steve Dush, Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. As indicated, this application before you consists of, actually there are 3 applications. There's an annexation, there's a change of zone, and then there is a special permit for a planned service commercial district. So, all right, this is working. So here's the location. Again, generally located at the northwest corner of O Street and 112th. The property is currently identified in the comprehensive plan as commercial. So this particular application, not only is it contiguous to existing city limits, but it complies with the comprehensive plan relative to the tiers of growth that are established in the comp plan. This is Tier 1, Priority A. It already has a preliminary plat approved on the site that was done previously as identified in your staff report. So this is a continuation of that sort of improvement from a capital and infrastructure standpoint. So the annexation is 29 acres, and so that consists of generally this location that's going from ag to H4. And then there's a little sliver of existing property that's already in the city limits that's going from R3 to H4. So that's the 31 acres of the zone change. And then the use permit itself is over that area and then some. The and then some is some property that's to the north that is going to stay in the county at this point in time. So again, the planned service commercial through the special use permit, what that does is it refines some of the land uses there. I would also note that this area is bordered along the southern property line by the, there's a pipeline planning area. And so that has been accommodated. There are conditions to reflect the protections against any of the sensitive uses that are identified that are manifest again in the conditions of approval. So that's been addressed. There's also triggers associated to the development of roads along the site based upon thresholds of development. There are also 3, actually 5 waivers. 3 has 3 subparts. So the first one is a request to allow for 0 internal setbacks, which is a very typical sort of allowance from a land development standpoint to just provide some flexibility. And also this site has a lot of topography in it. And so there's going to be some changes in grades and that allows them some flexibility. Also that topographical change sort of necessitated the second request for a waiver to allow for sewer manhole depths to be up to 23 feet in height. The normal depth is 15 feet. Again, that's a standard sort of allowance. This has been reviewed by the engineering department and they're fine with that. The third one, which is why this application was continued, is in 3 parts. That's for the temporary road that comes into the site, and that is located right here. So that request is to allow for a rural cross-section with a ditch, also to allow for a sidewalk just on one side and then street trees on one side. So that seemed pragmatic. Again, it's not unconventional to allow for sort of a temporary improvement like that, to not have to do all those things. But this sort of, those waivers packaged there, again, allow for the connectivity into the site, whether it's, through automobile, of course, but for pedestrians. And then it should still be attractive, of course, with trees on one side of the street. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. The staff recommendation is approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead, Dick.
Is that a easement on the very west side there between the residential lots and these new commercial lots?
This area right in here?
I'm sorry? No, go north and west.
Up here?
Yeah, and keep going right.
Oh,
Right, no, back this way, back to the left.
I'm not seeing where your
With the
finger's
little
going.
dotted line.
Go back to
Yeah.
You're on it.
Yeah.
This?
If you go back to your GIS site,
Oh, yeah,
it shows
okay.
a little strip of land that's owned by somebody else. That strip, back up, there you go. That's city-owned, or
So this area right in here,
Or brown?
the darker brown, 'cause it's already annexed.
Oh, no,
That
right.
one.
That right there where you're, that.
oh yeah,
little
that's, so
piece.
that's already a part of the East Dominion Estates property, and that is, I think, zoned R4. So that's residential development.
Okay, but then if you go to your next map,
Looks like about a 20-footer.
yeah, you're showing go to the next one that showed the lots. There you go.
Yeah.
You're showing a strip, but I can't see. I think it looks like 20 foot, but it's too small for me to read.
From north to south, yeah.
Yeah,
Between
going
the
north
lots.
and south,
Dash
See if I-
line.
Let me see
behind
if
the
I can-
residential lots.
Our copy is not
Keep
showing
going.
up on there.
This right
50
here?
foot,
Yeah.
50-foot
Yeah, it's a
setback.
50-foot setback.
And that is a requirement between the residential and the commercial?
It's also identified, so as a part of the plan service commercial, they can identify what the setbacks are. So this would establish that setback.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions?
Took a long way to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Applicant.
Good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission. Danae Kalkowski and Mark Palmer from Olson appearing today on behalf of the owners of the property, White Holdings LLC and Fund 51 LLC. So some of what I say may just be a little bit repetitive of what Steve said, but I think it's important again to kind of lay that history out because we're just taking the next step, and some of the planning commissioners weren't here last year when we were working on this and getting our initial approval. So again, we do have 3 applications. We have a change of zone and annexation kind of for the next phase of what we're anticipating for development. And then we're asking for the special permit for the entire area that will ultimately be H4 commercial, right? So the special permit extends beyond the boundaries of what we're asking for change of zone and annexation, which means you'll get to see us at least one more time when we're coming in to ask for change of zone and annexation on the rest of it. But just for the little bit of history, so back in early 2023 is the first time we submitted in 2022, but came in 2023 and laid out a preliminary plat for the entire area. So the original area is shown. This is the current approved site plan for the preliminary plat. In early 2023, we were asking for just the very first change of zone and annexation, which was kind of this north residential area. That allowed us to just get started, get an annexation agreement out here to start master planning the infrastructure to serve the entire area. We asked for the preliminary plat at that time on the entire area because we wanted to start showing a master grading plan for it, okay? Then we came back later in 2023, added and annexed the commercial and did the zoning for the townhome area along the west side, which kind of completed the residential portion of this. We came in that time also and asked for a comp plan amendment. The comp plan had shown this area as commercial. We expanded it to include this area here. We not only have that pipeline planning area along the south, we have it along the west side of or the east side of the property, but the west side of 112th too. All of those applications were approved at that time. We did that knowing we'd be coming in later with more specific plans for the commercial, and that we would address the 112th Street improvements when we came in with the commercial development. So today is that time. We're ready to move forward with the first portion of the commercial development. So this is the map of the special permit, which basically includes all of the rest of that area that's not residential. We are only annexing and zoning kind of the south portion of it right now. The zone we're asking for is an H4 commercial zone. thinking more like contractor services, allow some storage. Those are uses that our clients are seeing the market asking for in different areas of town. So we're asking for the special permit for the planned service commercial that allows these different commercial uses in the H4 zone. What we will do is, right now we're showing a site plan, a phasing plan, and a grading plan. And the grading plan really will be moved back to the preliminary plat, so it's still gonna hold the grading plan basically for the entire site. Just as we move forward to City Council, we will also be submitting an amendment to the annexation agreement. That doesn't come in front of you, but it does come in front of council. And that will address improvements that are needed to the intersection at 112th and O Street, and then also the portion of 112th Street that will be improved. But we plan to just improve a small portion of 112th that will allow us to come in on this temporary access point. And we won't be making these additional connections to 112th until we have a certain amount of development. What that's really allowing us to do is really our internal road will kind of act de facto, since 112th is not improved, it's still a gravel road. Really, our internal roadway is going to take the traffic off of 112th and circulate on the site interior. So we really will not be anticipating any improvements to 112th that would affect the property to the east, really at any time in the near future. But again, those are details that'll be shown in the amendment to the annexation agreement that'll go in front of council. I think we're asking for approval of all three of the items. Everything is consistent with what we've been showing, step by step in the process. But Mark and I would both be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Dick?
Danae, if I read correctly, you eventually abandoned your temporary connection?
Yes, at such time as the connection gets made, I think the one to the north, then that one
Disappears.
or it may be at the time the city finally, I think it's at the time the city finally improves the rest of 112th Street, Dick. So in the short, it's a temporary improvement that's gonna be there for quite a long time. But it is being set up as a temporary, so it could go away in the future.
And wasn't there something in there about you paving 112th Street?
112th Street will be paved from O Street up to this temporary connection.
Just that's all even
Yes.
in the future?
Yes.
Okay.
Additional questions? All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we will hear testimony in support of this application. Any neutral testimony or testimony in opposition? All right. Any staff questions? Applicant rebuttal? Okay.
Hearing none, I would move we close the public hearing.
Second, Joy.
Ball?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes?
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Public hearing is closed.
And I would move that we approve annexation 24003.
Second, Joy.
Any discussion?
Obviously, I'd like to discuss all three of them.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a continuation of a development that's already in process. The plans have been for this entire area to be developed, and they're just asking to proceed with the next section, being the first part of the commercial. So I think it's appropriate to approve all three.
Any other discussion? All right, Shelley?
Ball?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Approved 9-0.
And I move that we approve change of zone 24010.
Second, Joy.
Ball?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 9-0.
And I would move that we approve special permit 24012.
Second, Joy.
Ball,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Fight,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 9-0.
At this time, anyone wishing to speak on an item not on today's agenda may do so. Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, Chair and other members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to have a chance to speak to you all. My name's Harry Hafer. You want my address, the whole thing?
Yes, please.
Harry Hafer, 2200 Pester Ridge Road here in Lincoln, 68523. If I didn't mention it, I'm here on my own time from work. I do work for the city, but I'm here on my own time. Important to state that. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about something that is probably on the fringe of what the Planning Commission actually does. But having heard the LTU director speak earlier about the planned transit station, there was mention of accessibility and hearing. I have hearing aids. I have moderate to severe hearing, and the importance of being able to hear conversations, hear announcements, hear presentations from meetings like this is vitally important to everybody. And ADA requires that accessibility aspect, particularly in government buildings. I'm wearing two devices right now. This hearing room here has initially an FM system, which basically means everybody has to check out a receiver pack and a headset. If you're lucky enough to wear hearing aids with a telecoil, you maybe can get by with a hearing loop. I tried that in theirs, but these are newer ones I just got. So I've been working with the AV folks trying to see what works best. These work pretty well. I can hear pretty well, but people are shy about asking for these. They sit there with the headset on, and if I wear this, I can hear you through your microphones very well for the most part, which I would encourage you when you are at your microphones. And I know it's nice to lean back, right? But when you lean back, that takes the voice away from the mic, and it doesn't quite pick up it as clearly to be able to hear it in the headset. The new system they just got, which to me is not as effective yet, they're still working on it. It's actually a Wi-Fi. This does have a neck loop. It also can work Bluetooth through your phone to your hearing aids, which a lot of you are familiar with already, probably for listening to music or whatever, earbuds, Bluetooth it, no wires, no cables. In concept, this is great. Right now, the volume's a lot less on this, and I've talked to Bo a little bit. Hopefully, they'll get that figured out to make it work more efficiently. But I just want to raise your awareness about the need for listening-assisted devices in public buildings particularly, but any commercial space really, if they have a PA-type system where they're making announcements, or a conference center. Assemble Lincoln I've spoken to, and hopefully they're going to continue forward in their planning to include what I feel and other specialists in the area of hearing needs. Hearing loops are the preferred alternative. It's an old technology, yes. There's new technology on its way called Auracast. It's not out there yet. It's a different type of Bluetooth. Supposedly low energy. Bluetooth tends to suck the batteries down in your hearing aids, while a telecoil does not have that effect. It goes straight to your hearing aids, so the clarity of hearing something is so much better. Hearing loop requires installation of copper wiring. They looked at it for this space, but the carpeting would have to be affected, so the cost was a little bit more expensive than trying to add on a little bit of this Wi-Fi and some new FM systems here also. But the nice thing about a hearing loop, and if you have telecoils, is you don't need either of these. I can walk in a room, either some hearing aids have a button on your phone, I turn on my phone to the hearing loop function, and boom, I hear it straight in my hearing aids. Fantastic, so much more clarity. If I came in here without carrying any one of these devices, it's very difficult for me to hear the conversations going on with your microphones. I passed out or had passed out my volunteer card on hearing loops. I encourage you to keep it in mind as you meet with other groups and organizations talking about new buildings or new spaces or whatever, library expansion, whatever you can think of that might kind of fit the purview of the Planning Commission. I know it's kind of a little outside their purview maybe, but having heard the LTU director talk about their new transit station, it kind of said, well, you know what? I'm going to take an extra hour or two of vacation today and hang out and have a few, make a few comments to the commission here. So anyway, that's about all I guess I have to say. I just appreciate the opportunity to have a few moments to speak. Hearing loss and providing for hearing loss is an ADA requirement I mentioned already. It's kind of the forgotten about disability. Wheelchair ramps, real evident. We've seen those for decades. Elevators, real evident. We've seen those for decades. Providing assisted lifting systems for those with hearing loss, it's been forgotten about. And it's, we have these FM systems, infrared, but there's a lot of meeting spaces in the city-owned apartments that do not have anything to allow for the someone with hearing loss to come in and more readily understand and hear what's being discussed. So appreciate your time. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I just want to thank you for coming
Hang on a
up.
second, sorry. Go back to this.
I just want to thank you for coming up because you've educated me on new technology that I didn't even know existed.
And a lot of it's old, actually. I mean, like I say, hearing loops have been around for 30, 40 years. It's more common in Europe. Other cities have a lot more places with hearing loops. Lincoln, unfortunately, only has a handful of churches that have hearing loops, and then the community playhouse has it in both of their playhouses, or both of their theaters. Leeds Center only has an FM system. They're looking at upgrading. Hopefully they'll go with a hearing loop, and it would be beneficial. If you don't have hearing aids with a telecoil, you would have to get a hearing pack like this and a headset. But unfortunately, for some reason, audiologists don't promote telecoils and hearing aids. There's no extra cost to get them. I've heard the excuse that it's old technology. I've heard the excuse that there's new technology coming, but it's not here. Nothing's out there yet for this new technology. So, but thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'd be glad to, my email's on there. Be glad to converse more one-on-one, whatever, if you have further additional questions. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll see an email from me, but
Wonderful.
not as a planning commissioner.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to put a different hat on.
Yeah, there you go. Like I'm wearing a different hat today, for sure, for my normal job. So.
Yeah, thank you very
You
much. Does
bet.
anybody else have any other? No. Appreciate the
I'll
information.
take one of your cards.
Thank you very much. Oh, I should point out, this sign is up here. Where's the camera? And there's one on the entrance. So the AV people are still trying to figure out a way to how best to make these devices readily available and not have to go back to their room. So hopefully they'll get that figured out so people don't walk off with them, or, this is only good for this. It's not like it's basically a fake phone. It doesn't work with, only works with this. So, but anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second, Joy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.